Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Iron Woman. Only special guest. Today we have Marni with us, 19 times finisher of Ironman, 5 times in Kona.
Thank you so much for having me. Sometimes I scratch my head how my body has been able to do 19 Ironmans. Sometimes I think it's a gift and a curse as well that my body just keeps allowing me to do this, and I seem to keep getting better. So it's been a wild journey over the past 16 years. I'm a board certified sports dietitian. I'm based in Greenville, South Carolina. And I'm also a triathlon coach. I have a team of long distance triathletes that me and my husband coach from primarily the US, but also a few international athletes as well. Our main focus with our athletes and nutrition is to help our athletes excel in sport without compromising their mental and physical health. Health is very important to us, and not just physical, but mental as well. We try to practice what we preach, and I try to be a good role model for other athletes, especially other women out there, to see your body as something amazing and to do amazing things with it. That's why with the 19 Ironmans that I've done, I've really been so honored to be able to share my journey with so many other people. I love being able to help others as well.
I can only support that. I'm a running coach. You want to be the role model. You also want to show the people what you have done and what is possible. I think you look like a human being, a normal person. We sometimes see those Olympic athletes and wow, how is that humanly possible? But you're the role model and you showcase what is possible.
I try to be a good role model and really believe that there isn't one look for what athletes should be like. Society seems to have this mold of what the female body should look or the male athlete body should look like. I'm just here to say that there is no look, and you need to recognize your strengths and your individual abilities and capabilities and genetics and traits and work with that. And that's really important. I think far too many people are constantly trying to change themselves to become somebody else instead of recognizing what are your abilities and strengths and to use those to your advantage.
Especially with the social media, we see all those influencers. Everybody looks so beautiful. If you're training, and I can only talk about my experience, if you're training for an Ironman race or a marathon, anything, it's hard work.
Yes, it is hard work, and you got to keep your body healthy and fueled and nourished. At the end of the day, as long as you take care of yourself, your body's going to be in the state to perform at its best. It doesn't matter what you look like. It's about what you can do with your body.
Where were you when I was training for the Ironman? I thought that nutrition was the hardest part.
Oh, nutrition is hard. I think for a few reasons. The obvious is just that you need to fuel and eat a lot to support the training. That can be hard because of busy schedules. You might not have the appetite to eat. There may be body image concerns and you feel you might be eating too much, and that can be an issue. But also that nutrition for, in my population, endurance athletes, it can be a little bit confusing because some of the practices for sports nutrition may not appear healthy on paper. Sometimes we need to eat foods that are more processed or higher in sugars or higher in carbohydrates. While we wouldn't recommend these to the person who isn't exercising no more than 4 or 5 hours a week, if that, to keep our bodies healthy, we need to do things that may not look healthy on paper. That's just part of sports nutrition and sports science and exercise physiology, is to be able to look at food differently and how it can fuel and nourish our bodies.
How did you get involved in everything? Where did it start for you?
Well, I started out as a swimmer. I was a competitive swimmer in high school and college. And then when I went on to graduate school, I moved from Kentucky to Florida. I was in graduate school getting my master's in exercise physiology, and I really missed the camaraderie and having teammates and having the discipline to train for an event. I had been accustomed to that for 10 years of my life. I really missed that. I decided to train for a marathon while I was in graduate school. And I completed the marathon and qualified for the Boston Marathon and realized that my body was designed to do endurance sports. Mentally, I loved the challenge, and physically, with all my years of competitive swimming, I had a very robust engine that allowed me to go long and do fairly well with it. Then I decided to try out triathlons more competitively. I did a half Ironman, and then I did my first Ironman at the age of 24 and qualified for the Ironman World Championships in 2006 and competed there in 2007. But what's really interesting about my journey is that I was very successful in the beginning. Over the past, since about 2017, I've been very successful with placing at the top of my age group. But there was about 10 years where I was in school, I was struggling with injuries. I was really trying to figure out this endurance sport. I got lucky in the beginning, but I kind of took that luck for granted. Wasn't really sure what I was doing. So a lot of trial and error and mistakes and lessons learned, but it all worked out. I think one of the reasons why I've been able to have the success after so many setbacks is because I truly enjoy the sport. It has never been about the outcome, or maybe it was at one time, but over time, I was able to really find joy in a swim, bike, run lifestyle as opposed to chasing results or placements or an outcome. Once you stop chasing an outcome, you get the outcome that you had always been wanting for.
Okay, you have to keep on going. Is that the recipe for success?
Yeah, you just can't give up, and you have to be able to try different strategies in different ways.
Anybody who wants to do it, I always say who wants to do it can do it. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. Whenever somebody comes to me and if they're interested in training for and competing in an Ironman, I encourage them to stay patient and to not see it as a one season journey, but a multi-year journey, because it does take time to build endurance and resiliency and to practice nutrition, to get race experience. I feel like a lot of athletes, they just rush into it too quickly, assume that, oh, I have a coach, I have a training plan, I'll be prepared in 6 months. While you may be able to finish the distance, I think that you will be able to get much more out of that experience when you give yourself more time to really build yourself to be capable to complete that distance, but have confidence with your nutrition and your skills and your terrain management and your abilities with your body. There's so much more that you can work on as opposed to just the fitness aspect.
You mentioned it. It's the mental aspect. I always say, as in a marathon, 80% or even 90% is mental.
Absolutely. I think anybody can probably look back at a race and say, during the moment, you probably felt like you were giving it your all, and then you crossed the finish line and you let things digest. A few days later, you look back and you think, oh, I probably could have gone harder. And that's just the mind protecting the body. And we have to constantly push and nudge it a little bit harder and say, okay, you can go a little bit harder. And we don't want to step outside that comfort zone, but we want to keep stretching it a little by little. And that's why it does take time to get results, because you need to keep stretching that central governor and pushing it and telling your body, yes, you can do a little bit more. Yes, you are capable of going a little bit harder.
I like that. That's my philosophy also for business. We train for something. we become good at it, become better, and then it becomes second nature. And it's also the passion that you want to kind of like develop. It's hard to train. And then you get to a point, at least for me, you get to a point and you're like, do I really want to do this? It's hard. You need that motivation from others. Like when you say you have a group of athletes, how big is that group?
We coach about 40 athletes, but we do have a team of almost 100 athletes. The rest of our members are there for the education, for the camaraderie, the motivation, and to be part of our team. And the rest of the athletes are there to be coached one-on-one.
Do you have beginners and kind of like every level in your group?
Yes and no. We specialize with our coaching in endurance triathlon. Our athletes have either a half or a full distance triathlon on their schedule. In that capacity, I would say, no, they're not beginners, but we also love coaching athletes for their first half Ironman or their first full distance. In that aspect, yes, we do have those who call themselves first timers or are trying to cross that finish line for the first time.
It's an amazing experience when you can cross the finish line in that 17 hours. We just had the Ironman in Lake Placid. How was that? To me, Placid is magical. The town, the surrounding. How was it for you and your husband?
Yes, I completely agree. We've been there 5 times, and every time we go there, just getting into the village, seeing the ski jumps and the lake and the town, it just takes our breath away. We actually fell in love with Lake Placid so much when we were living in Florida, when we went there for the first time, that we decided to move closer to the mountains in Greenville, because there's something so special about the mountains and lakes and the seasons and nature. But the course is very challenging. In my opinion, I think it's one of the hardest Ironmans in North America. You have to work for every mile on the bike and the run. There's very little free speed out there or recovery. But the great thing is that the town itself and everybody who's there, they help you get to that finish line. The crowd support and the spectators and volunteers, everybody was out there. There's so much positive energy. We had 13 athletes racing, everybody finished. So it's even more special for me and my husband when we have athletes out there. It kind of gives us a little bit more accountability that we have to finish what we started. When we're struggling, then we can go back out there and cheer everybody on.
Congratulations. 13 athletes, everybody finished. That's a huge accomplishment.
We never take that for granted. When we have athletes out there, we're worried about them all day, even as we're racing. Once we see everybody out on the run course, we can relax a little bit.
It feels running and competing for yourself is one thing. Have the responsibility. I don't know if I could take it. How is that? How do you compartmentalize? Probably that's the right word.
We kind of have 2 jobs out there because you have to take care of yourself. Then you're thinking about other people as well. And when me and my husband are racing, we're constantly thinking about each other as well and hoping that each other's having a good day and being safe and able to reach the finish line. But as coaches, at least the way that we coach, we hope that by the time our athletes get to the start line, that we've equipped them not just with the physical fitness, but also the mental skills. We call it the toolbox of tools, that we've packed their toolbox the best that we can so that they know what to do to get to that finish line. We really want our athletes to take some ownership on race day, as opposed to feeling like we have to tell them exactly what to do and giving them a spreadsheet and telling them what paces and watts and splits that they need to hold, but instead giving them the freedom to race and to do what they need to do to get to that finish line. And I think that approach takes a lot of pressure off the athlete, because then they know that all they need to do is just be in the moment, focus on themselves and trust their abilities. They'll find a way to get to that finish line.
I spoke to another coach and we both said, sometimes people think you and I, we help them, but you as an athlete, you have to do the work. You cannot run for anybody or do the bike. You have to do the work on race day. You have to show your best. You, as a coach, you are following them, guiding them up to the starting line, but then it's all on them.
Yep. Then they get the medal because they did the work.
Otherwise, you have to carry so many medals.
I'd rather them have them.
What's next for you? You're going to Europe?
My husband's family lives in Czech Republic, where he's from, in Znojmo, Czech Republic. After several years of not being able to travel, we finally get to go back. We will be traveling to Czech Republic, and then we will see his family. And then I will be doing my first Xterra race, my first off-road triathlon, the Xterra European Championships. And then after that, we will head off down to Nice, France, and we will be doing an event that we signed up for back in 2019. It's been many years in the making, and it's called the Haute Route Alps. It's a 7-day cycling event. We'll be covering almost 500 miles, close to 50,000 feet of elevation gain over 7 days. It's kind of like a mini Tour de France for amateurs, and we're taken care of stage by stage. We go to different cities from Nice all the way up to the top in Megève, France. We're really excited for this experience. Then we'll come home at the end of the month.
It seems you have such a nice energy, motivation for everybody, and the biggest smile on your face when you talk about sports. What do you do when you don't work out?
As much as I love to swim, bike, and run, I also just love to be outside in nature. I mean, I do like to slow down a little bit. I wasn't always that way, but I do like to relax and walk my dog. He's older, so I really enjoy spending time with him for however much longer we have with him. We have 4 cats, so they bring me a lot of joy as well. I think I just enjoy being at home, being with people, and it doesn't always have to be about triathlon. I say that too, and that I just enjoy just riding my bike on the trail. It doesn't have to be training, but I really enjoy being outside in warm weather. This is my favorite season. When I'm not swim, bike, running intensely, train for an event, I just enjoy being active, being out.
One more question. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food, I love pizza. That's an easy one for me. I love margarita pizza. It's probably my favorite. I love fruit. I'm more of a carby person. So breads and granola and pretzels. Carbs are kind of my favorite food group.
That's how you also fuel when you are competing?
That makes it pretty easy when I love all the foods that are great for fueling.
I wish you safe travels and good luck on the Haute Route. That's 7 days. It's a long time. Biking. Thank you so much for all the insight.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
What an uplifting conversation. Let's go and swim, bike, ride. Let's train with her. I'm inspired. What are you taking away? Take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday. We have stories from inspirational people. We can learn and grow with them. Come and join us. Thank you so much for your support. And Take It from the Iron Woman is also a book, Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. Download it, read it, write a review. Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.